I'm Zied Ben Romdhane, and the exhibition Under the Same Sun is a conversation of photographs between me and List. The idea started because there is some similarity maybe in the spirit, the way that I photograph and List photograph. There is some point in commons, like the sea, the Mediterranean, the light, the bodies, but also like the way that we photograph those things. And this kind of combination bring us to make an exhibition. He photographed in the beginning of the 20th century, and I photographed in the beginning of the 21st century.
Herbert List was a German photographer who took up photography as a pastime in the early 1930s. He really never received a formal education on the medium. He was more inspired by the time where the emergence of photography as a new medium was allowing a larger audience to take part in the process. The cameras, films, papers were widely available. It was a growing industry. And Herbert kind of picked up that energy, joined in at that time to become a photographer. As a gay man with Jewish grandparents, Herbert List left Germany in 1936 and lived in exile in Greece until 1941. And many of the works we're showing here in the show are from that period. Even at that time, he still called himself an amateur. That was for him a sort of statement of intent. You know, he wanted to say his work was driven by a love for the medium and for the creative process rather than by looking after a demand of a market. The sort of document of a private life and the result of a really elaborate and considered creative process existing in the same frame that makes List work still speak to contemporary audiences. For me, it's also the point at which List's work connects most naturally to the one of a contemporary photographer, to Zied's work. It is sometimes when I look at them and look at the similarities, it's where List's images leave off. Zied's work starts with a distinct voice of its own. So when Zied responded to our collaboration by sending a poem that was sort of putting a light of what's underlying these very intimate portraits, but also these surreal moments that he observed in daily life, I felt that was just magical, because what poetry does as a text is exactly opening up a space for any viewer of the images also to imagine themselves in. So it opens up one imagination, and I think that adds another layer to the show that I find fascinating, and I hope the viewers of the show can share this fascination.
يقف الطفل على الربوة بعد مشاهد الحرب وهجوم الجراد وجوع طفل أمام خبز أحمر. ينزل حافيا نصف عار، تنغرس الأصداف في قدميه. وقبل بلوغ البحر تجف قطرات الماء على جلده ويبقى بياض الملح. يمسك بيد المسن، يتقاسمان زيتا وخبزا والشمس المنعكسة على الماء. حبات رمل بين الظفر واللحم. نورس صامت يحدق. جلد ناعم فوق رمل ساخن. وريح تحرك شعرا مبللا. هم ونحن صرنا الجنوب وولدنا من نفس الملح تحت ظل السمك المجفف على الشاطئ. هنا ما بعد الخيانات وما بعد الحضارات وأعمدة الرخام ندخل عصر السكون.